best things that we have in the profession.
Thank you, my room. I just had my table in my room, and I was working from there.
Those programs. So today we'll be hearing from Mr. Pius on how he has made this journey. I mean, it's everyone always talks about a particular way of doing things, and at the same time, we're human. We want to know how to push boundaries. We want to know how to be excellent in non-conventional areas. So we would hear from Barrister Pius, who has a prolific educational record as well as practice record on how his story has gone and how we can replicate this success. So, Mr. Pius, please take the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manuel. Pardon my voice. I go to Barcelona and then I caught a flu, but I'm getting better right now. Yeah. You said I have 40 to 50 minutes to speak about my growth as a lawyer. The field of sports law being my specialty, and giving insights to young lawyers who may desire to work in such a conventional field. Okay, yeah. So I will start with my growth as a lawyer. So my name is Pius Ndubuoku. I'm from Delta State, Nigeria. I was at the minor seminary. I wanted to be a priest. Though I had a teacher then, so he had 6 children who were lawyers. And he was like, hey man, you're so good in government, you make a good lawyer. I was like, I don't think I'll make a good lawyer. I am not so fluent in speaking. I stutter a bit in my speech, as you can see. So how will I argue in the court of law and so on and so forth? It was like, no, come on, you're good in government, so why not take a shot at law? So when I wrote my work in 2012, I went ahead to buy my form to study at UNN, to study law there. And I was admitted in 2012. I got into Nsukka. Yeah, I got into Nsukka with the dream to when I finished from Nsukka in 2017, go to law school 2018. My dream was to work in Templars or Aluko or NCC. Yeah, these were my dreams, not sports law. These were not I never had a dream in sports law, to be honest. Well, I loved sports. I captained my class in the university. I captained my class in football. I think I was the best in table tennis in the faculty of law and soccer then. Though I think my first encounter with sports law or sports management came in 2015 or 16. I think we had a competition in the faculty of law. I believe there's some persons here from UNEC. So after I was one of this sports week, and I played state tennis, and then I won the championship. And then Amo Bezaku was invited to come do the presentation of the awards. I think that was 2015 or 2016. 2016 actually. Then he was the team manager. He was the TM of Rangers Enugu. So when he came, he was looking so young, driving a Mercedes Benz. He was like, there is something for us in law, in sports. There's money in law. There's money in sports law. It's interesting, the exposure, the passion. So I sat down and watched him speak. I was like, wow, this guy has not worked anywhere, and he wants to. And then he's encouraged us to do sports law. So yeah, well, but I didn't really pay much attention to that. Well, it just caught my attention. Like, oh, this is a specific area I would want to go into. And then I made it very clear to my friends, I never wanted to go to court for one day in my life. I didn't want to litigate for one day. So when we left UNN in 2017, went to the law school 2018. After when we were called about 2018, most of my friends got jobs at Aluko, Templars. I was feeling frustrated. I was like, yeah, man, I don't want to go to court. I don't want to work for any lawyer. But what career path do I go with? Real estate. I won't say it's saturated, but there's nothing peculiar for me as a real estate lawyer. Every lawyer does real estate. Yeah, we audit in law school. So I thought to myself, what specific area would I make an impact? Where can I establish myself? So my late uncle told me, what, you like playing football? Have you ever thought about sports law? That was 2019. I was like, sorry, let me stick with the agenda. I was like, yeah, I've not thought about it, but I don't think it's an area where people make living from, or it's established in Nigeria and so on and so forth. It was like, why not look into it? This was 2019. So I came to Lagos. I came to Lagos. My partner now, he was working at Luco then as a very big associate. So I went to his place. I shared my dreams with him about sports law and so on and so forth. Fortunately, he had the same passion. In fact, he had wanted to go to East Day 2019, but the funding was a big issue for us, man. Paying 15,000 euros as our 2019 was so huge for us. So we were like, okay, why not let us start reading these regulations ourselves? Let us start reading these regulations ourselves and try to see if we can get clients and so on and so forth. Yeah, we started in 2020. We came together after like 4 months of reading our regulations and so on without direction, no mentorship, and so on and so forth. So we came together in 2020 and we established the first virtual sports law firm in, I think, in Africa, Onoleda LP. And then that came the real challenge. He resigned from Aluko for us to work full time and in the law firm. Yeah, it's not rosy, man. I think the firm was established officially in May. And then we got a brief. Okay, we got a brief in March. We got a brief from a client. Our first brief. We didn't know what to do with the brief. We filed the first brief. It was closed for procedural reasons. We refiled second time. It was closed. We refiled the third time. It was closed. In fact, it was the fifth time that it was admitted that we had complied with the procedural regulations and guidelines. We were so happy. It felt like we had won lottery. That was 2020. And then we continued pushing. And then I think as at October, November 2020, we had not made 100,000 naira. So we were writing proposals to clubs and academies. We are sports lawyers. We'll do this. We can do that for you. We'll do this for you. We'll do that for you. Not many responded. In fact, we're offering our services for 200,000 naira a year for retainership. Like, have us as your sports law advisors, and would charge you just 200,000 naira a year. We got about 4 clubs who signed us on. Some didn't pay us, and so on and so forth. So I think something striking happened in October 2020. I was sleeping one day in my house in Abuja, and I got a message from a friend in Aluko. It was like, we had a meeting today in Aluko and Oyebode, and we were identifying these strong law firms in Nigeria, and then your firm's name came up. I was smiling. I was like, my firm's name came up. That's not true. So he sent me of course, it's confidential. He sent me the memo, and I saw our firm's name with Templars, Abakoba, and some law firms. I was like, wow, we must be doing something good for our name to have been identified within 6 months or 7 months of practice in the industry. So that encouraged us, and then we kept going and going and going. And then on the field of sports law, on the field of sports law specifically, like, what is my specialty? So I'll make this correction. Yeah, sports law is a very wide field. It's very wide. But in Nigeria, in Nigeria, with all due respect, we only have football. That's the most prominent sports in Nigeria. We have athletics, yeah, we have basketball, we have tennis, we have tech ball, but football is the most prominent sport in Africa. That's just simple truth. So we try to streamline our practice area. We try to streamline our practice area to like football, anti-doping, table tennis, tech ball. In fact, when the Tech Ball Federation came into Nigeria, it was my firm that drafted their statutes and advised them on the legal structure they would take in order to operate in Nigeria. So we came down and we looked at the Nigerian football setting, like, how do we make money off this industry? Nigeria is not. So, yeah, sorry, man. I lost you guys for a while. Sorry. So
It's good. Yeah.
yeah, so we came together. We're like, how do we make money off the industry? Like, yeah, football we have read. Remember, as I said, we're self-taught attorneys. No educational backing in sports. We all read law in our various universities. There is no special knowledge in sports laws at then. All we had done was read up regulations, read up statutes, read up case laws, and then we keep calling people every day. We are sports lawyers. We are this and that. This one, engage us and engage us. I'll be honest with you, like people didn't like most persons shunned my calls. In fact, I will make 50 messages a day, I don't get a response, and so on and so forth. So we came to that and we looked at the industry in Nigeria. It's not full, it's not well developed. So like how do we make a niche for ourselves? So we sat down and we're like, you know what? We're going to strengthen our practice to be international sports practice. So it means we won't handle any disputes in Nigeria between Enyimba and Lobby, between Lobby and a player in Nigeria, and so on and so forth. So that was how we carved our niche. Yeah, that was how we carved our niche in 2020. In 2020. Yeah, and then I think what a remarkable day in our life was when we got a call from Sweden. That was October 2020 for the case we had filed earlier that I said was being closed for procedural reasons. Yeah, we got a call like, oh, they made a proposal to us for out of court settlements. Man, we were so excited. Like, I was out in Abuja. I took a cab to my house. I didn't even price the cab. Like, this club sent a proposal. A Premier League club in Sweden sent a proposal to us in Nigeria. It meant we did something right. And then after then, not up to 2 months, we got another brief against the club in Belgium, 2020. Yeah, we got the judgment, and then we got a brief against the club in Denmark. I think I'll call it, that is the most bittersweet experience of my practice life to date. That's the biggest brief we've gotten in terms of monetary value. When the brief came, we went to FIFA, the RC of the football tribunal. We got a binding proposal, but out of experience and out of excitement, we didn't have the experience. So we went and started calling the judgment debtor to pay up, and then they went to appeal on CAS and quashed the judgment. I couldn't sleep for over 3 months because it was a very big amount involved. Yeah, so yeah, I think yeah, so that's basically. And then as I mentioned in my bio, then in 2021, the turning point of my career was in April when I was going through Punch newspaper, and then I saw an interview by Manela Muneke that the Tanzania Football Federation, they are owing him money, and they've breached his contract, they refused to pay him, that he's calling on them to pay up this. So I was like, oh, why would you come to the media? Don't you have lawyers? So I got his contact from someone, and I sent him a message. I'm Pius. I'm a sports lawyer. I've done this. I've done that. Would you mind giving us the brief? He was a bit skeptical. I was like, are you sure? I was like, okay, we're going to do it for you pro bono. Just give me the brief, please. So he sent me the documents and everything and so on. This was in April. And then by June, we had gotten judgment at FIFA against the Tanzania Football Federation, and we had placed them on transfer ban. In fact, not, but we had restricted them. They couldn't get like financial aid from FIFA until they complied with the judgment. So that was my first real encounter with like a federation. So they kept calling me, and it felt good, like a federation calling you to negotiate and beg you not to take some certain disciplinary actions against them. So that was 2021, and then after then, I think that was when I went to East Day myself to do my master's in international sports law. But while in East Day, I think my career took it skyrocketed because yeah, from that brief, after Moneke's brief, it started working like referrals, recommendations. Oh, Pius, Monikate gave me recommended us to you guys, said you guys are good, you can help us do this and do that. Wow. So back we stopped calling so many clubs. Like people were reaching out to us through referrals. We had done you Amonike sent us, Jazzy did this, Lobby Star sent us, Nasarawa United sent us, Canopila sent us, Katsina sent us. So yeah. So we started like we were expanding based on referrals and recommendations from the clients we had worked for. So whenever we call a client, before we call a client, we try to talk to an old client and say, "Can you help us talk to so client? We want to help him do this." But he might not think we have the credibility or the expertise. So will you help us put in a word and so on and so forth. So that was it. That was how we expanded in Nigeria. And then when I got to East Day, I met a friend from Costa Rica. I think they were teaching a particular topic in class, and that was my expertise. So the lecturer that was handling the course, we had done a case against each other. I think at FIFA or CAS. So he was like, "Oh, I have a student here. I think he's well experienced in this. Do you mind sharing with us like your views on the topic?" So after I spoke in class, one guy met me from East Day from Costa Rica. Was like, "Hey, but I think you're a bit knowledgeable about this field of law. Do you mind if we collaborate? I'm going to get you guys job from Costa Rica and the Central American countries, and then we collaborate. You guys bring your expertise, do the job, and then revenue sharing formula was agreed. So I think that was how we were able to penetrate into the Central America. And then notably, I think I got a judgment against Nottingham Forest in England, yeah, through the contact and so on and so forth. Yeah, so and then as to how we're able to expand to other countries like Morocco, Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopia, Bangladesh, and so some other countries. Yeah, so there was this notion before we came in that Nigerians don't have sports lawyers, or most sports lawyers were basically academic, like they only wrote articles and legal opinions. But in terms of practical experience, we didn't really have many Nigerians doing that. So I looked up to two. I was reading up about Okobi, who was the head of legal NFF, Johnny Precious Oba. He owns activity chambers. He stays in the UK, and then my paddy and my mentor, I call my mentor ABMNEK. I looked up to their profile. I was like, okay. So when we filed these briefs against these clubs in Africa, they retained foreign lawyers against us, and I think we got a 100% success rate against them at FIFA and CAS. So after we get judgments, the club will reach out to, hey man, do you mind representing us as our attorneys? So that was how that's how we were able to get the clubs in Tanzania, Morocco, Bangladesh, and so on and so forth, to return our services. And then that was how we started spreading out and spreading out and spreading out and spreading out, even doing consultations for the NFF, the Kenyan Football Federation, Ethiopian Premier League board, and so on and so forth. And then I think earlier this year, the New York Law School invited me, some of the experts in football, okay, in the US they call it soccer, to come be a judge in the annual soccer law competition. And then I think the annual law review happens every year. This is the fifth year. This is the fifth year. So I had been applying for the past 4 years, and they keep declining my application. So last year, and then I got an email, you've been selected to attend. I was like, wow, this is huge. And when I got to Tokyo, Japan earlier, when I got to Tokyo this year, I was only Nigeria there. And yeah, so that's how we've been operating. Then on the third agenda, giving insight to interested young lawyers who may desire to work in such a conventional field. So I think every day, every week, I get emails on my work mail, on my IG, on my LinkedIn, on my WhatsApp. Hey, I have interest in sports law. How do I come in? How do I start? So I ask them, what is catchy stuff? They say about the transfer fees you hear about online, or the glamour, or the name sports lawyer. Like, what is the interest? Because if you think there is money, yeah, there is money, but it doesn't come so fast. Like, it's not that glamorous as people think it is. It's a lucrative industry, yeah. But remember, as I said, as you mentioned, it's an unconventional field in Nigeria. So we don't really have like many guys in this sector in sports. We have the entertainment, music, IP, but for sports law, it's quite unique, and I call it a virgin area up till now. So I'll ask those young lawyers, both those that are my seniors at the bar and my juniors, to be like, they want to practice sports law. How did they get started? I'm like, what is your interest? What's your exact interest? What's your passion? Is it about, like, what's your passion about sports law? Like, how? And then like, oh, we think it's an interesting industry. So I'll just give a very simple insight. Yeah. Unlike maritime, real estate, and what they call it, divorce or property or so on and so forth, litigation, this field, people don't really know it so much in Nigeria or in Africa up to this moment. So aside from learning the regulations, the biggest issue you have is how to get the clients in the industry. Remember, as I said, unlike maritime, where people write you, oh, we know you're this, you're that, you're that. In this industry, you have to write to the clients. In fact, you have to contact the clients or the clubs. You have to explain to them who you are, convince them you can do the job. In fact, first of all, when you call them, they don't even know that they have a legal right in sports or in law. You have to, like, first of all, tell them who you are, your expertise, then tell them that they have an issue, convince them they have an issue, and then tell them you can convince them on why they should give you the job. So it's quite a demand, it's quite a tough one. So for young lawyers, mastering the regulations is I think that's the first step. Knowing where to go to, then defining your practice area. Like I have not done any other form of practice since I was called about 2018. It's been only sports, nothing more. So yeah, you have to like streamline. Like sports is very jealous. Like you cannot say you want to combine litigation and sports. You have to like sacrifice for one of them. So like you have to like really make a choice. If this is what you want to do, you have to pay the price. You have to bend down your head. You have to like read the regulations, seek for mentorship. It's very important. I have mentors up to this point. I'm still growing. I still seek out for mentors who have done so well in the industry. You have to like read up, master the regulations, and then you have to like also know how to get the clients. Our profession is forbids advertising of like asking soliciting for clients, but that does not like, but you can contact these clients, like send them like proposals and so on and so forth. And then finally you have to leverage on referrals and recommendations in the industry, because people don't really know sport lawyers so well and so much. So all you have to do for every job you do, make sure the client refers you or recommends you to another client. So I think that is it. I think that is it. I think that is it. Yeah. Mr. Manuel, I don't know. I don't know if I covered everything I need to cover. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you've done quite a great job. In such a short time, you've told us a very remarkable story, and I'm sure I speak for every one of us when I say that we're grateful. So we will be taking questions, but before then, just by way of recap, I would try to see if I got you correctly. You talked about, how you had to take a bold step of being sure of what you wanted to do and streamline your profession, even when things were not as rosy as you may have preferred or imagined that they should have been. You talked about how you had to actually put yourself out there by sending out proposals and leveraging on referrals and making people know that you knew what you were doing. And I think this is one part that people don't really highlight on, but the requirement of having to develop and study on your own and learn and try and push your boundaries to know that people so because you may not actually have all the tools actively, and just like you have already mentioned, it's not a sector that particularly has a lot of um you know facility infrastructure in Nigeria. So, and then you also talked about getting international clients. My first question would be, do you communicate in any other language? How are you able to bridge the communication, especially internationally, especially learning in Madrid as well?
Okay, so my master's in Madrid in sports law was taught in English. I speak Spanish poquito, for little poquito. I understand French basic. I know how to communicate in French, like the basic greetings, my name, how can I help you, what I do. But as I said, it's the word has gone beyond. Yeah, you have to speak, but collaborations and partnerships. I have Spanish clients. I've not talked to them for one day, but they're my clients. So all I have to do is I have a friend. As I said, I have a friend who I met in Madrid who speaks Spanish very well. So whenever I have a client, I send him to him and talk to these clients for me, or he brings clients. But I've done conference call with a top club in Spain. I don't hear what they say, they don't hear what I say, but we had a third party there. He speaks English and Spanish, so he's the bridge. So yeah, so I think language is not going to then for learning them as clients. I use my Google Translator to chat. I translate to French, send to you. It might not be perfect, but you're getting the gist. You send me, I translate back to English. But I have handled a brief where I filed my claim in English, and the opposing counsel filed in French. I had to translate the whole French to English, read and understood it, and we filed back in English. And then he translates to French and filed, because yeah, English is general language. We have English, French, Spanish, what other language? I think German, but English is like the most popular language in proceedings at FIFA and CAS, though they use French. So whatever language the claimant uses at the procedure in FIFA and CAS is the primary language of the proceedings. So if I file in English, no matter who all the correspondence from FIFA or CAS must come in English. So you can file in your French. I translate to my English, read and respond, and file in my English. So that is how we like. I use my Google Aids, and then I collaborate with friends and partner and colleagues who speak those other languages. That is it.
So the global infrastructure. Yes, I said so. The global infrastructure is good and it makes it a little bit simple, right? That's what it makes sense. You also mentioned that you have a virtual law firm. Please, can you enlighten us? Can you explain a little bit in detail about what that entails?
Okay, so when we planned on establishing our firm in 2019, we're very young lawyers. I was still serving less than 6 months from law school. I didn't have money to rent an office, and then I looked at those I'm representing and the cases we filed against. Where are they? Yeah, my clients. If I my clients, 90% are Nigerians, but the other party, 100% are not in Nigeria. They are all in, I think, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, um, England, Spain, France. So why do I need a physical office? And then the COVID came, and everybody was forced to work at home. In fact, our practice boomed during the COVID year because if you unlike before, where the cast hearings were physical in Switzerland, Zurich, now cast moved their hearings to everything was virtual. So we have to take advantage of the infrastructure, like the virtual infrastructure workspace. And right now, that's how we have operated for the past 5, 6 years of my life. It's been virtual. I'm like a mobile office, mobile law firm. Anywhere I might work, I found my hearings, my claims, everything online. The response comes back to my portal or my email online. I read them. Everything's online. So that's how we're able to operate virtually. You don't need me. You don't need it. It's possible it's not needed physically, unless a client wants to sign a contract. Then you have to, like, I'm flying to Lithuania later in the week, next week, for my client to sign a contract there. Unless you're flying there, but as to your job, drafting contracts, you don't need it physically. Preparing claims, you're not needed physically. Making a consultation for a Nigerian club for a client who is in Sweden or Denmark, you don't need to be there physically. So that's what I mean by virtual. Like, we've worked without a physical workspace. But I don't know that will change any moment, anytime soon. I'm looking at it changing, but I think that's why I say it is catchy for young lawyers. You don't need a physical workspace to assist as a sports lawyer. You can work from it. Like, I'm in my hotel room now. I'm working from my hotel room. If I travel to Norway tomorrow morning, I'm working from Norway for the next 3 or 4 days. Anywhere you are, you work. So that's what I mean by, yeah, we work virtually.
That's amazing. That's a good. I think it's a good way to look at it. Flexibility. I think someone has a question. Moarda has a question. Can we take a question? Please, you can take his question. Can you unmute yourself and go on, please?
Okay. Good evening, sir. My name is Moses Ada. I'm a final year student in the University of Calabar. So I have had a passion for sports while growing up and stuff like that. And right now, I'm writing my project on inequality in allocation of countries' law for international competitions like the World Cup. Yeah, and I've been finding difficulties. And when I was listening, he said this area is not a novel area where everybody knows and it's very common. So even during the process of my projects, I've been finding things difficult actually. But my direct question is, when I was checking out universities and destinations for my master's program, one of the options that came to my head was the one at Madrid. And I spoke to someone who finished from the university, and he was telling me the cost and everything. And I had to sit down and have a rethink about it. Will I be able to afford this? How am I going to raise the money? So I want to ask the speaker if he can make recommendations of other universities we can look at, other schools that run this program efficiently that we can look at as alternatives to the one in Madrid. Thank you.
Okay, so I myself, I'm an alumnus of ISDE Madrid. With due respect, I said this to the director of programs earlier this year, my friend Dev Palmer. It's a waste of money. With due respect, it's a waste of money going there. Yeah, but not totally a waste of money. So I'll give you the two perspectives here. We are from Nigeria, where we believe. I have any degrees, so you don't think like I'm bullshit. I have any degrees. Yeah, we're from Nigeria. where we believe degrees, yeah, because of our skin color, we have to like prove ourselves, like we have to like show credibility, like we are competent to do this. But like I have a couple of friends who are white, who are lawyers, sports lawyers, they have never taken any course on sports law. Nothing. So like when I went to East Day, I told my friend uh that is the most wasteful investment of my life. I think it's 15,000 euros or dollars. That is the most wasteful money I've paid in my life. Yeah, if you want, if you want to work for international law firms in Europe, you can go to you can look at those options. I'm sorry, I'm not discouraging you from going. I'm giving you the practical experience. Like when I went to this, I was already an established lawyer in sports. Like though not this popular, but I was already doing so well. I had over 40 judgments already to my belt before I went to Madrid to do my master's. Sorry, I have to turn off my phone. If not, yeah, yeah. So before I went to Madrid, before I went to Madrid, I already like had this practical experience, a lot of it. So if you're looking at like, so I asked if my friend, the director in Madrid, after going to his day, please speak to the alumni, the alumni who have gone to his day. Speak to all of them, please, maybe to get a balanced view. After going to his day and you come back to Nigeria to practice, you're lost because it does not teach you the African industry. It comes to the Western practice. Everything about it, everything on transfers is Eurocentric. You teach American football, the NBA. These things don't happen in Nigeria. We are our like I told someone, if you can capture 10% of Nigerian sports law space, you're so rich. I don't have up to 0.0001% of Nigerian sports space. So everything they teach you in these days Eurocentric and centralized. So if you want to go, I will tell you this. And then these days, if you look at the FIFA staff, over 70% went to East Day Madrid. Yeah, if you want to listen to FIFA, it's a nice part. But I cannot recommend another university to you that is cheaper and then that has the quality of education that they have like one of the best quality of education. When it comes to sports law practice, they have one of the best, like they have one of the best professors, like people from FIFA, leading the experts in sports law. They have these guys. So I think, but you can ask for a discount. They can give you 50% discount. You can pay half of the money required for school fees. But I will tell you something: don't go to East immediately you leave law school. You will come back and you'll be lost and you'll be filled with regrets. Before you go to East, they practice for a year or two. Make sure you really have passion for this industry, so you don't go and invest over 20 million naira in Spain and come back to zero. And then you keep calling people, "Oh, I'm a sports lawyer, I'm a sports lawyer, and they won't listen to you." So try to establish yourself here. Get academies, get clubs, get players who be represent before you take that bold step to East Day. So when you come back, you don't come back and be like, "Oh, what next?" I don't know if I answered that. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Let's hear from Sumto.
Oh, good day, sir. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I came late for the lectures, but I grabbed some things that you were saying. You made mention of you being in Nigeria and handling various matters for clubs, like European clubs. So, do you fly over there for like, if let's say for a matter that is happening in like Denmark, do you fly over there for filing the processes and for trials? How do you do it? You have to be physical present in the courts.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I don't want to quote laws this evening or section, but if you look at Article 22 and 23 of the FIFA RSTP, it provides for jurisdiction of the FIFA Football Tribunal and disputes in which they have like we have like two sections of the FIFA. We have two sections of the Football Tribunal. We have the DRC and we have the PSC. So that is FIFA. It is situated in Zurich, that in Switzerland. So remember I said for all the matters I handle, I have never handled a matter where the two clients are from the same country. So as I said, 9% of my clients are Nigerians. So the one I did a case against a Danish club for a Nigerian club, as I remember, like they're like two international parties. So only FIFA had the competence or the jurisdiction to hear the matter. So the matter went to Zurich, Switzerland, and then we filed the claim virtually. So you don't have to be physically present in the Danish court. We're talking about international arbitration here, not like the civil law practice. So for any international dispute, unless the contract stipulates that jurisdiction will be vested in a local arbitration tribunal in the country, then that is where you might have some sort of issues. But even with that clause, I've had about 5 cases where those clauses existed, and I was able to overturn them because at FIFA, I was able to prove that, yeah, this was what was agreed upon, but the local arbitration tribunal, I think Article 1010, Circular 1010 of FIFA provides for minimum content of these tribunals. It does not satisfy the requirement as to independence, impartiality, and fair hearing. So the matter was still heard by FIFA. So all we had to do, everything I have done is international practice. Like both parties, or the player and the club, or the club and the club, they have never been from the same country. So you don't have to be physically present there. That is why it's a catchy area, a catchy section for Nigerian young lawyers to delve into, because you can work from the comfort of your room and your bedroom.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Pius. So, you mean that even in matters like does some matters come to trial where there is cross-examination, re-examination, and does he entail that? Does he go to trial, or is more like mediation?
Okay, so at the level of FIFA, we have the judicial bodies and we have the football tribunal. Judicial bodies are like the disciplinary committee, the ethics committee, and the appeals committee. Then the football tribunal, we have the DRC and the PSC. From my experience before any of these committees, there has never been a time where we did a trial. Though it happens where, like, if it's so complicated, they can request for like a hearing. But after, in my experience of 5 years plus, I've had over 100 cases before these bodies. I've never had one of them. But when the matter goes on appeal to CAS, it is purely, I call it arbitration litigation. It is the full courtroom practice. You file your appeal brief. They file their respondent. They file their answer. You guys call it further reply. We call it replica. You file your duplica, and then we have a hearing. Opening address. You call your witness, examine your witness in chief, cross-examination, re-examination. But these are done virtually in CAS. So from my experience at FIFA, we've not had a trial. Everything is based on written documents.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. And please, the final question. You made mention of having a good knowledge of the regulations. Can you those expressly, which regulations, the FIFA regulations?
So if you look at the FIFA RSTP, it makes allowance for parties to determine their choice of law. But once parties don't decide this, the FIFA regulations and the RSTP apply stricto sensu. So basically, but for international practice, for people from 2 different countries or clients from 2 different countries, by looking at the FIFA regulations, you have to know the FIFA statutes, you have to know the FIFA RSTP, regulations on status and transfer of players, you have to know the procedural rules governing the regulations governing the procedure before the FIFA Football Tribunal. That's like our civil procedure rules in Nigeria. You have to know your ethics code, the disciplinary code. You have to know your clearinghouse regulations, FIFA agent regulations. In fact, if you go to legalfifa.com, you will see every regulation you should need to know for FIFA. And then you also have you have the database for the DRC decisions, because presidents are very helpful in FIFA and CAS. Though even though CAS are not bound by previous presidents, but it helps streamline your line of thoughts. Then for CAS, you don't know the CAS code, and then the CAS the presidents are contained on their TAS or TAS/CAS.org.
Oh, okay, thank you very much, Pius. One last one before I go. Are there times that where they might be battling for jurisdictions, let's say English FA and FIFA? Are there, in your times of practice, have you Have you come across something like that? Like between English FA and FIFA, and they're now looking for the superior body or something like that?
No, as I mentioned earlier when I was speaking, we've had issue of jurisdictions where not English FA, or yeah, that's the most popular FA, where we filed a claim and the club in Georgia said that the Georgian Football Federation Arbitrations Tribunal had jurisdiction and not FIFA because the regulations provided expressed that in the event of disputes, the National Dispute Resolution Chambers of the Georgian Federation we have jurisdiction. I've had this issue in Ethiopia, I've had this issue in Kenya, I've had this issue in Morocco, I've had this issue in Sweden, I've had in over 10 countries. So, but as I said earlier, there are minimum contents. If these local bodies or national bodies don't meet up with the minimum procedural requirements, then they won't have jurisdiction. Like appointment of arbitrators, who are the appointees, is fair hearing guaranteed, impartiality, and so on and so forth. So once these minimum content are met, the national body assumes jurisdiction, irrespective of whether it's a Nigerian player and a foreign club. But if these contents are not met, then FIFA assumes jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please, before we take our next question, I would appreciate it if we could. I can see Jesoloba's hand is up, Nadi's hand is up, and Abdul Ghafar's hand is up. I would appreciate it if we could type our questions so that we can be able to limit our questions and not overstay our time. So I will take Jesoloba's question, and then everyone else kindly type your questions so that I can then relay them to our speaker. So just over, please, just to job, I beg your pardon. Unmute your mic and please go on with your question.
All right. Good evening. And yeah, thank you, Mr. Vaz, for such an inspiring speech. Yeah, straight to the question. My question is how, like getting your first brief, how were you able to convince the clients? Because I believe there was no track record at the time. So how were you able to convince them that you are the right person for the job, despite lack of experience at the time? W.
Thank you very much. I'll say this: it remains a miracle. I still have the picture of my first day I met the first clients. Well, before we met, I already knew he was having an issue of solidarity and training compensation. So I went and read up on those things very well. So when I went there, no track record, I just told him we could do the case. He had no option then because he was like he had been searching for sports lawyers and he couldn't find any. So we just said if you give us, it was like, we told him, please give us the brief, we'll do this for you. We want to grow with you actually because there was nothing to convince him about. Right now, if you call any client in Nigeria and tell him, oh, you're a sports lawyer, they will listen to you because we've done quite a couple of stuff in the industry. Represent over 100 academies in Nigeria, out of Nigeria. So like it's not like a strange thing to hear sports lawyers from Nigeria. But back then, it was quite tough because it was not the first because we spoke to others and we asked them, what's your track record? We have a foreign lawyer. That was the thing of the day back then. Our lawyers in Portugal, US, UK. But for this particular client, I just knew about it. When you learn about client interviewing, you have to like learn what the client wants to talk about. So when I went there, I came prepared as if no practice experience, but in terms of knowledge, I had knowledge of what they wanted us to talk about. So that was it.
Okay, thank you. I think that you had also already shed light on that, talking earlier when you mentioned that you even did some work pro bono to prove your expertise, and I think that's a petition. And in line with what you just mentioned that you have done work, I was about to ask, what progress or what we can do, whatever we can make to actually move sports law steps further in the legal profession. How can we actually, what can we do to move the area further, to push it, to drive it, and then to actually make it bring it up to speed with the other areas of practice?
I think we need more lawyers to get involved. We need more lawyers they have to get involved. We just need more lawyers because I'm here. I'm not in Nigeria full time, So we need more lawyers to get involved. I believe with more lawyers comes with more awareness and then more knowledge. Like the clubs will be, because we have a knowledge gap with these clubs. So we need more lawyers to start picking interest in sports law, getting the required knowledge and expertise and mentorship. Up to today, I still partner with bigger lawyers to learn and file some cases. So if we can get more lawyers involved, imagine if we have 500 lawyers who are doing sports law in Nigeria. We have over 5,000 academies in Nigeria, over 400 clubs, over 2,000 players. And then we have 500 lawyers who are in different areas of Nigeria, talking to different clubs and different academies. The knowledge and the awareness grows in the industry. So I think it behoves on us lawyers. Yeah, we need more lawyers we need more lawyers to develop a subject matter expertise on sports. I think that would be our pathway like to grow the sector in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you. So Godfrey is asking I'll just read two questions together which I feel are similar, so that's and are also in line with what we just discussed, so that we don't have to take them separately. So Godfrey is asking, Mr. Pius, please, what would your advice be for we new lawyers that want to dive into the sports practice? Nelson is asking, you spoke about trying to set oneself up for masters before going for masters and all of that. So as a law school student that has a bit of passion for sports law, what is the right step to take from here? I think they are just asking how they can actually move along on the line.
Okay, so I would just say seek mentorship. Last year when I was in Enugu last year, a young guy who's in law school and came to me was like, "Sir, I want to be your personal assistant. Don't pay me salaries." And I was like, "Sure." And then I took him on, and the guy, as we speak, he's not been called to the bar yet. He has gotten 5 judgments at FIFA, top judgments, top. He drafts excellent briefs. In fact, the money involved in one of his judgments, I have not handled such a case in my life. I gave him the brief to handle, but I have not handled that amount of money in a case that he got judgment on. It's my brief, it's my firm, but he was the only lawyer named on the document. He handled it from. I told him, don't just ask me questions, but I won't get involved. Draft the process yourself. I'll go through it and so on and so forth. So just seek mentorship. I believe when he leaves law school, even if he leaves with a third class, he's an asset to any top law firm. If he wants to stay with us, fine. But if he wants to go to any top law firm, I believe he will be a huge asset to them because he knows where and what to do at the moment.
Thank you so much. I just want to let everyone know that we have put our Instagram page, our WhatsApp channel, as well as our YouTube page, so that you don't miss any updates for following successive webinars, and even the ones that we've had. For this one, we are also recording it, so we would upload it on our YouTube channel as well. For our final questions, and someone is asking if they can have your number. I guess you would handle that personally, but Chidebere is asking, please, what are the specifics of your practice? Does it include employment law practice as it relates to players, negotiating compensation, discrimination of players, and other employment-related aspects? If yes, can you say the two practices are related? I think that's what he meant to say, 2 practices. Also, how do you think Nigerian lawyers can pitch themselves better when proposals do not get results? Yes, that's the question.
Okay, so my specifics of my practice, I'm looking at it here, is I will say my practice is 50% employment based. Employment has to come with negotiation. It has to come with negotiation, compensation, and breach. So it has three arms, or 3 limbs. So we help negotiate employment contracts, and then help negotiate the terms of the contract. And then when you don't get paid, we help you recover your money, overdue payables, Articles 12Bs of the RSTP. And then when it is terminated, we rely on Articles 13 to 17 of the RSTP to go for breach of contract. And then there's something you've missed out here. It's all, I think sports law is all contract, it's all contractual, it's all contract based. So you mentioned about transfer fees or agreement between clubs. When clubs default, you step in to help these clubs get their listing, or when they are cheated, or when they are underpaid. And then you talk about we negotiate compensations every time. Even when you get a judgment of $500,000, $1 million, you still negotiate compensation. And then the biggest source of income for Nigerian academies and clubs, training competition and solidarity mechanism. You didn't highlight it here. So yeah, these are the specifics of my practice. Then I also deal with ITC disputes, international transfer certificates. When a federation is holding on a player's ITC, can move to another country, we get involved and help them move. Discrimination, I've never handled any issue on discrimination, but that will go before the FIFA disciplinary committee. And then how do you think Nigerian lawyers can pitch themselves without to clients when proposals do not get results? They never get results. Last 2 years, I wrote 1,000 emails to clubs in Africa. I got only one response. So, as I mentioned earlier, it's all about referrals and recommendations. That's the best way to go in the industry. Referrals and recommendations. And then I will give you this cheat code I learned when I landed one of the biggest clients, one of the biggest footballers that played in African football as my client. If I had called him, he might not have picked, might have picked. So I asked people who does he respect so much, who does he listen to, and I called the guy and I spoke to him. I told him, let us collaborate. I'll pay you whatever I earn. I'll pay you 30% of my earnings to you. Whatever I earn from this transaction, help me talk to him. He spoke to him. Was like, this guy is good. Listen to him. And when I called, he was like, Mr. Philemon recommended me to you. Spoke about you, highly of you. Let's have a meeting. So that's how it works. Proposals cannot get you what referrals will get you or recommendations will get you.
Real insight. Thank you very much. I see that Japheth and Joseph still have their hands up. Kindly type your questions in the chat so that we take them all together as we round up. Jack has asked, Barrister Pius, in your extensive experience in the sports law sector, what are some of the most common misconceptions young lawyers have about entering specialized fields like sports law?
I'll tell you. I'll just say straight up, hunger, brokenness will kill you, and and to be honest, it's not a misconception. It's the reality. Like, you have to be ready to pay the price. As I told you, in 2020, I earned only 100,000 naira as a sports lawyer. In fact, one of our partners left us and joined Templars because he was like, "What am I doing here? This is not what I signed up for." So, but you have to pay the price. But I will tell you, in 2-3 years, what you will earn, you can earn it in Aluko for the next 30 years of your life. Like, one brief can cover your 10-year salary as a senior associate. In fact, you can even be earning on the same level as partners in Aluko in sports law if you hack that code. And then also how do you these barriers you get that, I have a foreign lawyer. Everybody tells you that I have a foreign lawyer. Yeah. Our practice is that you do not take clients from your fellow lawyers, but I don't see foreign lawyers as my fellow lawyers. I will convince you on why you should retain a local service as opposed to a foreign service. So you have to convince them. As I mentioned earlier, always find someone who will speak for you, because most of these clients might not get. Imagine going to talk to Kocha or Kanu. Kanu is my client. Amuneke is my client. Babangida is my client. I have most of those guys as my clients. When you talk to those guys personally, Kanu is very humble, so he will listen to you. But what of those that cannot listen to you? Imagine want to get to see, like, I want to land us in as a client, but I can't get to see him at the moment. So I'm looking for someone that can talk to him. So you have to always look for someone that can talk to these guys to give you that audience. Yeah, you have to look for the key to that door. Once the door is open, then you talk to them. So leverage on referrals and recommendations, and that pro bono jobs. Once client doubts your credibility, I did a job of $300,000 and I did it pro bono. When the client got paid, I was salivating. I wish I had charged a percentage of it, but it was pro bono, but just to prove your expertise.
Mr. Emmanuel, you're muted.
Yeah, Chamaka, I will advise you to connect with ABM Enike. She'll put you through on. She's a lady that has breaking barriers, and she will tell you her stories as a lady and how she broke into the industry. Yeah, we know it's quite tough. Yeah, sports law. But as I said earlier, with the whole virtual practice, it makes it easier. Like, clients don't see you; they don't see you face to face. Talking to a client in Aba and you're in Lagos, how does he want to see your hit? How does she want to see you? So the virtual space has made it safe for you to thrive. Yeah, but ABM Enike will do a very good job.
Thank you very much for that referral. So before we round up, I can see that some hands are still up, but they did not put down their questions in the. Japheth, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Please go ahead.
All right, good evening, the host.
Barrister Manuel, and then guest speaker, Barrister Pius. Thank you so very much. I've listened to you from the very beginning, and I'm just first of all, I'm so happy for you because I was a contemporary in leg. I was among the team that I captained O20 team against your class. You won your class in the Losa League. That same Losa week, you were the best tennis player. But in the future, I would love to play in your team moving forward. All right. I know that passion, you quickly say passion is one thing that is needed to succeed as a sports lawyer. Um, Around that very period, let me say that we have similar kind of story. Around that same period that the manager of Rangers came to school, I think I was 100 level then, so he also inspired me and as well. So I've also picked up that interest. After the 2018 World Cup in Russia, commentators and football pundits were questioning why African countries were not doing so well in the World Cup up until Morocco that did so well in the last edition. And it was down to structure, the lack of structure in most African countries. Football academies lacking talent, a lot of talent wasting here. They don't have people to send them abroad, identify their talent and all of that. So that is where we come in as sports lawyers. Firstly, is it possible? This is my question. Firstly, is it possible for a non-lawyer to be a sports agent? To be a sports agent, you're not a lawyer. Can you be a sports agent internationally? That's my first question. Sir, are you hearing me? Sir, are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
So that's my first question. And
Okay.
then secondly, apart from passion, yes, you just have passion and everything. And what is that key thing? What is that key? Consistency, team. What is that thing? What is the substance? What is that thing that you will need to armor yourself to be very, very successful internationally, locally and internationally as a sports lawyer? Given your experience, I hope that you'll be able to answer some of these questions. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, please, I would love to beg you. I think whenever I have sessions on sports law, Mr. Manuel, yeah, it's always a very interesting conversation with young people because So I don't know if you can extend our session by extra 10 minutes. Yeah, I should be heading out, but I don't mind like extra 10 minutes. It seems more people have more things to say here.
Yes, please. If as long as we have you, we are very happy to hear from you as long as
Okay.
you're comfortable.
Okay. So Japheth, for the first question, whether non-lawyers can be sports agent or lawyers, there's no restrictions. In fact, people have centralized it now. To be a sports agent, go and write the exams. Write the exams. If you pass it, you become a football agent. But I will tell you, there is more to being a sports or football agent than having a license. I'm not an agent. I stay away from it. It requires dedication, commitment, and contact. In fact, the number of people that have license in Nigeria now in the world exceeds the football clubs.
Wow.
In fact, so it's all about making the contacts and having the right talent. Then the second one, sorry, I'm trying to get the second question you said with second question. Sorry, can you remind me again?
Apart from passion,
Oh yeah, thank you.
You stated.
Yeah, so thank you. I'll tell you, people say apart from passion, my own apart from passion, hunger, it was an inspiring factor for me. As I said earlier, my friends worked in Aluko, 10 plus, Banwo. I never worked anywhere. I only had one place, sports law, or I just go back to the village and start farming. That was it. I was never called down for going to court. I'd rather go and have a farm than to go to the courtroom. So passion and then the hunger, the zeal, and then the hope. Like, even though I could not see the money, I was looking at, of course, let's be honest, ourselves, apart from passion, it's money for all of us here. Like, if it's not for money, then why are we studying law? Many of you might like, Japheth, I know you're a pastor. Many of you might have passion for different things, but it's money for me, man. I have the passion for football and sports, but it's money, man. If money is not there, I'm not doing it. In fact, if a client calls me on phone, no matter how beautiful your story is, I will not do it for you if you're not paying me money. So my drive was money. I saw that there's money in the industry. I'm not making the money yet, but at least I'm scratching it. There's money in the industry to be made. So the hope that if I can get to this level, I can make this money. So imagine writing an email and getting paid 20,000 euros for just an email in industry. How does it sound? Very interesting. But you have to work yourself up there. So passion and the hard work, and then reputation is very important. If you do a job for a client and then the money is getting to your account, they taught us in law school, you can never tamper with your client's money, or don't ever shortchange your client, or don't ever make a disparaging comment about your client. Yeah, you have to be, what you cannot say to your client is don't say it behind his back, because the football world is intertwined. I did a case against a client 2021, and I was chasing a job last month, and guess who still the job? The client I did a case against, and he was like, no, I can't give you the job. So the job is a very small sector. So passion, then put in the hard work. But I think it's the hunger. If you want to do it for passion's sake, fine, you can do it and be going for passion's sake, yeah. But it's the hunger, like, why are you here? Are you here to make a living? I almost all those law firms, all those big lawyers putting maritime and passion. They're making livings. If they're not earning billions of naira from this practice, they would have left there. So yeah, you can do golf for passion, but for sports law practice, you have to, like, why are you coming to make a living? Are you coming to make a mark? I came to make money. I told my friend my goal is before I'm 35, I'll be the biggest sports lawyer in Africa. That's my goal. So that's my passion. And I want to be able to fly around countries freely without looking at my flight ticket cost. So that is it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Joseph, do you still have a question?
Yes, I
Joseph.
do. Yes,
Please go ahead.
thank you very much. Good evening, everybody, and good evening to Barrister Pius. I sincerely thank you for your time. So, without much ado, I really want to ask a question. I know you, okay, by way of expressing myself, I'm Madugum Joseph, and you've helped mentor me some 3 years ago, and you still do help me in guiding my practice within this sports sector. That is really big. Now, but the thing is, there are the rules I've read and everything, regulations, understanding the whole all of sports sector the way I can. I really have an issue, and partly some of those questions were answered. Writing proposals have not been easy. The other thing is referrals. We have a problem with our Nigerian. Do I say it's a problem? But there's something against ambulance chasing, and that's one of the things I've been looking at. Maybe not to go all out. What's your advice? I've been able to do a little bit of jobs, some of which you've directed, you've helped me, for some NLO clubs. But I really want to know, is it reasonable rather to go out to start meeting some of these clubs or writing to them? I've been doing that, but meeting, will I say, the stakeholders, conferring with those clubs one-on-one, is it something advisable? And if it is, how do you advise I go about it, at least as a startup sports lawyer?
Okay. So ambulance chasing. Remember, as I said, this is a growing or an emerging field. So as I mentioned earlier when I was talking, how I get my clients, I have to convince them I'm a sports lawyer, my experience, my expertise, and then you have to convince them that they have an issue. You go to the hospital when you're sick, but in this industry, imagine a doctor coming to meet you and telling you that you're sick and convincing you to take drugs. So we tell these clients, like, I try to, like, get this whole of the operation, then I try to point out the flaws and tell them how I can offer my services. Very sad and unfortunate. As a starting sports lawyer, I will tell you this: most clients will only call you when they have disputes. It's only when they have ranked your wage, then that's when they'll start calling you for documents, advisory. After they can go to the internet and print out contract of Man City. I was in a contract between a club in Nigeria and Azerbaijan, and I saw Man City and Liverpool in between. So yeah, they'll go and print it out and do some editing, and they don't care about you. So they only call you when they have a dispute or when they have messed up the dispute. So as you said, how do you meet them? Like, you met me a few years ago. I've known you. You know how I operate. I am always online, following up every transfer news, following up every termination of contract news, following up every issue with club to club, dispute, ownership. This is how I get my clients. Now, when you get this, when you advise a client on a breach of contract claim or issue, in future, when he has issues that you don't know about, he reach out to you. So you have to like be abreast of the news, and then also go out to this club, try to talk to them. I can help you prepare your contracts for maybe for free, because contracts are valueless in Nigeria. They contract not just Nigeria to Nigerian clubs. Help them review their activities. You have to earn their trust, and then they will open up to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, let me just ask this question. Please, the couple of articles I've written and I have not published. Now, I went too high in my expectation because I wanted to reach out to an international, is it international sports law? I'm trying to remember the publishing site or website here. I wanted to reach out and maybe publish, and then the amount they told me per article was about $2,000. So I had to hide my face. So, but the thing is, I also know you have written a few very good articles. Are there places you advise for young lawyers like us to maybe go out and then that are actually trying very much to do both the practical aspect and also do some of these theoretical works like writing and the rest of them to maybe pitch our articles? Are there areas that can consistently do that by putting out those articles?
I think Law in Sports is a good platform. Law in Sports. I think Dr. Olowononi, yeah, lecturer in law school. I think he's an editor of one of the sports journals in Nigeria, in Africa. So you can send to him. Personally, I've written only one article in my whole career as a sports lawyer. I don't like writing. I rather do the practice and then move on. Well, I don't like writing. So yeah. So I think law in sports would be your best bet, and contacting Dr. Olowononi.
Thank you very much. I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
Hello?
Okay, yeah, something to go on. Please, after this, we'll take one more question, and then from Chisom, and then we would round up.
Hello,
And that's
please.
after something. Please
Am I
go ahead.
audible? Okay. Please, I wanted to ask this question. When you obtain judgment, now how do you go about the execution of judgment on a judgment debtor? Let's say you've obtained judgment on a club, which requires the club to pay someone and so the amount of money, and maybe there's a refusal. How do you go about the execution of judgment?
Okay. So that is the beauty about our this specific practice area. Remember, as I said, my practice is international, not I don't do national or domestic. So, and then the deciding body is FIFA, the FIFA tribunal or CAS, and whatever CAS decides, FIFA must execute. So, if you search, I think there's a platform where you have clubs on transfer ban. If you search this club, search these clubs, harassed, search these clubs, search these clubs. So they are all on transfer bans. So once you don't pay within 45 days, I put you on transfer ban. What it means is you cannot sign players. And if you're able to survive my ban for 3 seasons, I'll move a point deduction. Like I'll write to FIFA, and the FIFA committee will have a hearing and deduct 6 points. And even after 3 months you don't pay, they will relegate to the lower division. So which football club can survive 3 seasons without signing players? So the execution of these monetary judgments in FIFA is top notch. It's airtight. So it's not an issue. It's not like Nigerian court. It's effective. After 45 days, you start seeing the results.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, even top clubs are not above this. Even something like Manchester United can be subject to all this.
I had a judgment against Nottingham Forest last year, and they had to pay before the transfer window. If not, they'll be on transfer ban.
Okay. Thank you very much, boss.
You're welcome.
Okay. I think that's the last person. The other person, Chisom, he has lost him. So I'd like to thank you, Mr. Pius, for a very, very, very well delivered webinar. I can say that you have renewed interest in sports. I mean, a number of us are sports lovers, and just trying to find way. It's been good to see that someone has also faced challenges and overcome them. One of the current question, just like I'm sure you can see, everyone is actually looking for how they can connect with you. Having mentioned mentorship and looking up to more senior lawyers who are in the profession, and to establish a system and infrastructure of persons and networking. A lot of people would like to connect with you. I think that I don't know whether Instagram would be better for you, or you would you would give us your contact, whichever is more convenient. Okay, yeah, your number is in the chat. Thank you very much. And then also, we hope to have you back to discuss more, like a masterclass on the legislation, governing sports law practice, so that since you have gone ahead and had to navigate your way around this, people who may not have the same understanding, and it would be nice to hear from you, like a master class on sports law legislation, the legal aspect of it, the laws, and how they can read. I've already seen, you've already given us a link which I have pinned in this chat, legal FIFA, which helps for the regulation and everything. Is there any other material that you can prove that people who are interested in sports law can use?
So as I said, when you go on that website, when you go on this site, you will see regulations, statutes, books, and then you see judicial bodies. So if like basically, if we all are lawyers, so if you read without seeing and without putting into practice, then I think your knowledge is untested. So once you've read these regulations, go and read the case laws on this legalfifa.com, and you see like how those principles you've read, you see how they've been applied by FIFA in different cases: waiver, breach of contract, termination of contract. In fact, interestingly, I told somebody in football, unsigned contracts are enforceable. In Nigerian courts, if you don't have an signed contract, it's not enforceable. There's a jurisprudence that says if a contract is unsigned by the club or the player, each parties can still go ahead to enforce it, to bring a claim on it, but you have to bring more compelling evidence to show that that's a binding, or that contract was executed by both parties. So these are like, but when you read about this and then you don't read how this is applied, that's an issue. So as you read the regulations and the statutes, you also have to look at the case laws and see how they have been applied.
Okay, so thank you very much. Just like I mentioned, while people who are interested here would do their best to read the regulations, we'd like to have you back so that you can give them, with perspective and live examples. Thank you very, very much for honoring our invitation. We want to say thank you. We want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for your expertise, your inputs. We are beyond grateful, and we hope
It's all right.
continue to make the impact and that you're making, and then we develop sports in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, and see you guys next time.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Laji, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Laji.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Things that we have in the profession.
Thank you, my room. I just have my table in my room. Now, focus on them.